This is the TSG Multimedia Podcast, bringing you the best train, model railroad, and historic preservation news, updates, and information since 2010.
We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon and by ModelRailroadControlSystems.com, Electronics for Operations, and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm John, your host, and this program is your ticket to behind-the-scenes goings-on here at TSG Multimedia. It has been for over 16 years. I want to start by inviting you to check out our sponsors. You can find links to all of them in the description of this video below. Much of this last month was spent editing layout videos. I also built my first model train kit. This was the first plastic scale model that I've built since I was a young teenager. And I had a lot of fun, actually. Of course, I made a video about it, and that video is scheduled to come out later this month. In addition to all that, we attended 3 op sessions as well, and a whole lot more. So let's get started. We're doing something train-related this weekend. This is Friday morning, and we're about to leave for Sacramento to help produce the virtual side of the layout design and operations weekend that I've been talking about on the podcast and on our live shows for the past several months now. This is an event where they focus on layout design and operations, and it's being held this year at the California State Railroad Museum, and we're going a day early. Well, kind of a day early. The event kind of starts today too, because we have some activities today, but we're supposed to be setting up all the audio and video equipment today. And by the way, I should mention, I think that everybody should be doing virtual events like this, and they're not that hard to pull off. And if you're from some other region or division and would like to learn how to do virtual events so that you can include your members instead of leaving them out, contact me at podcast@tsgmultimedia.com, and I will be happy to share with you the setup that I use, or a simple setup that can be used by anybody. Actually, that's what I'll share. A simple setup that can be used by anybody. All you need at your venue where the event is being held is a stable internet connection. That's it. The rest of it's real easy, and there's no reason why any of us should be leaving people out when they're paying dues and want to be included. Anyway, off to Sacramento. Hi, this is a little bit later, and we've arrived at the California State Railroad Museum. Got all the stuff that we need to bring in, and we're going to be setting up here this afternoon. And I'll probably do a little update to show you the setup inside, because it's in an auditorium, so it's a really cool venue for what we're doing. So we'll see you on the next update. So here's what I'm talking about. This is the setup for the event here. It's like a movie theater. So really it is just an auditorium. And then if you look over here, that's the what we're calling the media table, where we're going to have all the video stuff and audio stuff. And then this is the screen where the presentations will be shown. And of course a podium. And then Hilding, which is this guy here behind the table working on getting things set up. He has a professional mobile video company, so he brings all the fun toys. We have these special cameras here. These are called PTZs. These are remote controlled cameras that you can control with the little joysticks that are out on the table over there. And then we have one over here as well. And I'm showing you all this stuff just to make the point that you do not have to have this much fancy stuff to do your own virtual event. All you really need is a laptop and an internet connection. And here's a view from the top of the auditorium. So this is really set up for what we're trying to do here. And it's just wonderful that the museum here is willing to let us use their venue, because it couldn't be better. Okay, so we have everything set up now. And as I was saying, we have the 2 PTZ cameras off to the left here and one to the right. That's behind that table. And then all the stuff down here on these tables is like our director's studio, if you will. We have audio mixer and video mixer and various computers and monitors to monitor everything. But like I said before, this is just one way to do it. And you do not have to do anything this fancy. You can contact me and I will show you a setup that's nothing like this, that will still allow you to do a very good setup for a virtual event. Meanwhile, while we were setting all this stuff up, there's a tour of the NMRA Magic of Scale Modeling, I think that's what it's called, upstairs here at the museum. This is an exhibit that you've probably heard of, the official NMRA exhibit for model railroading here at the CSRM. It's been around for, I think, about 3 years now, and they're having a guided tour by one of the people who helped get it here in the first place, Charlie Getz, who's also a former NMRA president. But anyway, so that's it for now. I'll be back with updates later. Hi, so this is the next day, and we're in the auditorium that I showed you yesterday and getting ready for the event now. And it's an interesting setup because we have Sydney, who's hosting the event, sitting way in the back of the room. And that's so that when she's talking to people on the Zoom call, they'll be able to hear her, because it tends to get kind of loud, people talking in between clinics. And then down here we have all the multimedia stuff set up. And so it should be fun. These events are a lot of work. But thankfully we have fun doing them as well. And should be good. Looking forward to being done, and I'm sure I'll have some updates for you sometime during the day, certainly at the end of the day. So
this doesn't mean that each function must always be physically present on the layout. For example, locomotives may be serviced at a depot located off the layout, represented by staging, and motive power would be routed accordingly.
Well, I've been having fun with it, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of what I've learned today. So let's see what happens here. Oh, and so this is a location that's part of the way between Davis and...
Taking this modular's transit standard and making it your own, and then being able to set it up, say, here in a couple of years as a proof of concept. It would be very cool.
Since we're here, I just wanted to get a quick shot of the cab forward, the 4294. It's the only cab forward in existence, which is really weird when you consider how many of these that Southern Pacific had running. But this is it in the museum. We're at our lunch break right now. So far the event is going really well, though. And I think a lot of people are enjoying. We've had a lot of really good presentations already.
And then after the UP, I also worked at Gemco. That's a yard in Van Nuys.
Hi, I'm back again, and this is the end of the event. As you can see, we're even almost done striking all the equipment, cleaning up. And it was a really good event this year. It seemed like the presentations were even better than usual. So great shout out to the guy who got the presentations together for this event. It was Cliff Linton. You've seen him on the channel talking about this event. So had a great time, saw a lot of friends, and saw some great presentations. And most importantly, we were able to bring it virtually to our virtual audience, which I think we had something like 35 or something people. So it nearly doubled our attendance for the event altogether. So great job all around, and I'm tired, but feel good about how everything went today. Oh, hi there. This is the next day, and boy, we had a good time at the Layout Design and Operations weekend. The clinic day, anyway, bringing the virtual to you. But today, I came back home last night, and today I'm going to do something that's train-related. Well, it's toy train related, and since it's toy train related, of course, it has to include this guy.
Hey.
It's not Fat Albert.
Close.
So, what is this thing?
We're going to a show today that's put on by the Golden Gate Lionel Club.
Oh.
And, I've never been to this particular show before, so we're going to see how it is today.
Our friend Eric
check it out.
Was part of that group, wasn't he?
I believe he was, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he was.
So we're going to go see what this toy train show is all about, and definitely have fun along the way, and we'll maybe come back with some kind of update. Oh, look what we found while we're here. Something I'll be talking about sometime pretty soon. The SBHRS is having their spring open house in the first weekend of April. So this will be the first time you hear about this on the podcast. I'm a little surprised to see this here. Makes me wonder who's here that I know who's involved with SBHRS. This is pretty cool. They have this big modular setup running some toy trains. Some equipment that I don't think I've ever seen. Like, I didn't know they had RDCs. That's pretty cool. This is an example that you don't have to be what we would refer to as a scale modeler to still do super details and cool details on a layout. You can see there's an operating, I guess, trash barrel with a flame in it. That's pretty cool, and a bunch of clutter all around this little scene right here. Hi, this is a segment of You Never Know Who You'll Run Into. So we were standing outside in line, and I kept seeing this guy. I'm like, God, that looks like, is that Chuck? That looks like Chuck. It is Chuck. Yeah. This is Chuck Garaftik. He has the Boston and Albany layout. You can see it's a layout tour here on the channel. And Chuck does really beautiful work in HO scale. And I didn't know, Chuck, that you're also into these toy trains, right? You got your Lionel something here?
I got my first Lionel train back in 1949. And it started back then, and then when I got to be about 12, that's when all the ready-to-run HO came out, so I switched over to HO. And my Lionel trains have been sitting in boxes for decades now into the layout, and I finally decided I'm going to pull them out and build a little layout, especially since I have a little granddaughter now, and another one just born, so I'm going to have two of them soon. And I thought, maybe I could get them interested and have a little 4x8 layout or something like that with lots of bells and whistles and get them excited.
It's a family tradition.
It is, yeah. Right? They've been under the tree every year, but that's as far as they've gone. Yeah, well, it's been fun.
There you have it. You never know who you'll run into. And actually, I've seen a couple other people here that I know that I haven't talked to yet, but it's always fun to run into people that you know, and it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. We're like family now.
Right? This is pretty funny. I've now run into, 8 or 10 people that I know that I didn't know were into toy trains. And it just goes to show that the hobby's bigger than you think, and bigger than I thought in that respect. Because a lot of the people I'm seeing here, I know are into scale trains, like, HO or N scale or O scale or whatever. But these are toy trains. When I say O scale, I mean, the 1 to 48 stuff that's actually scale models, not toy trains, because toy trains are kind of not really that. But I've seen all these people, I was like, oh, I didn't know you're into this too. They're like, well, what did you think? Like, yeah, what did I think? So I've run into someone that I didn't know, but he knows who I am, and I think we're friends on Facebook. This is Chris Cross. Yes, that's his real name. And there's no applesauce after that, right?
Only if I'm in kindergarten.
Okay. So Chris actually knows more about this show than I could tell you. So I asked him if he would mention, because he's actually an exhibitor / vendor here. What could you tell the people on YouTube about this event?
And this is the Golden Gate Lionel Railroad Club annual train show and swap meet. I call it a swap meet. It's actually a train show, which means most people, when they think of a train show, you come and buy stuff, you find things that you want to add to your collection, that type of thing. So in addition to that, the club sets up their train layout, and so the kids can come and look at the trains running, which is extraordinarily popular. This is a one-day deal, and the thing that I like about this is because it's local. You have a lot of people that come and kind of clean out their garage. And so the things that you find are things that people like. Not very many dealers, that come in and take over 2 aisles, and it feels like you're walking into a retail store. So this is more of guys saying, I love this train, but I'm over it.
Yeah. Don't want to store it anymore.
Don't want to store it anymore.
And you can find some, if you know what you're looking for, you can find some treasures, because not everybody knows what they have.
Exactly. So I've got a couple of standard gauge buildings that are tin plate from the 30s. I have no idea what they're worth. So
come take advantage of Chris. No, but there was another interesting connection, which is Chris also knew and was friends with our friend, the late Eric Child, which, if you remember, he was the person whose property the Fern Creek and Western was on, that we really covered extensively on this channel. So we were having some, I guess, memories of Eric too. So it's interesting who you run into at these kind of things.
We're getting photobombed.
Oh,
by a Fern Creek and Western guy.
Oh boy.
It's all good.
All right. Thank you for letting people know. I appreciate it.
It's wonderful.
And nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too.
All right. Cool.
Take care.
Our door prize winner, David Nakamoto.
All right, so we're just getting out of that little toy train show, and that was an interesting experience. I saw a lot of people that I didn't think I'd see. I mean, I always see people I know at things like this, but some of the people that I saw,
you didn't expect to see at a toy train show.
Right. I mean, there are people that I was mentioning this on an update I did a while ago about how you can just assume that anyone that likes any kind of trains will show up here too. That's my conclusion. So, but you found some stuff that you wanted to, right?
Yeah, I bought several American Flyer freight cars and a book. Very happy. Like I said earlier, didn't know what to expect with this show. Never been to it before, but it was pretty nice.
Probably worth going to, actually.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're into the toy trains. A lot of good deals.
Yeah. Well, I have one question for you, and I think we've talked about this before, but I want you to tell people that watch this, like, what's your goal with how do you decide what you're going to buy when you come to a show like this? What are you looking for?
What I like? I don't know. If I see it and I like it, I'll buy it.
But isn't it though, usually stuff you don't already have?
Usually stuff I don't have, sometimes things that I do have that are maybe in better condition than the one that I have, or a different variation, because that's the thing with old toy trains is they made different variations of the same thing. Maybe this one, it has yellow lettering and this one has white lettering, so you don't have the one with the white, so you got to get that one.
So is the idea then just like to collect the stuff that you don't have, so you have one of each
thing that they made, kind of?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
So there's plenty to collect then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real problem.
All right. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you on whatever the next podcast update is.
Yep.
Hi, we're doing something train related today. I'm in the car here, or we're in the car here with our friends Charlie there on the left and Tom there on the behind me. Greetings. Right. And we're on our way to our friend Jim's house. Jim Radke has a fairly large layout that Sydney and I have not operated on yet. So this will be our first time. But these guys are old pros. They've operated everywhere. Just look at them. They look like professionals to me.
Oh, always professional.
Yeah, very, very professional. But anyway, we're going to have fun. And, I've talked about this before. This is part of the fun of the hobby, is the social aspect for people like us, right? Because we're kind of social people. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. That's what it's all about.
The upper staging wasn't working because we weren't throwing the upper staging switches. Which makes me think that I should get a big sign that says lower staging with arrows pointing down for idiots like me.
Hi, we're outside the layout right here, and we just had our briefing, and I am completely confused about everything.
It'll probably make itself apparent once we get going.
I sure hope so.
That's what happened last time.
Okay.
Because last time, the briefing, I'm going, oh my God, how am I going to figure this out? And once we got to, it
made sense.
It made sense.
Okay,
we have a lot of common, things in common on this. So
he said it'll make sense, so I'm going with what Tom says.
Well, that was my experience last time.
I think that inside stuff is storing a lot of rock.
So I'm coming down the hill over here, and it's moving now, but there was this train here. And the train that we're running is actually has a warrant past this point, so. And I read the person operating the other train's card. It also had a warrant that looked like it was to this point, but it's a little confusing.
Okay, Charlie. I'll be waiting for when he gets here.
This is Jim's sense of humor, and what do you know? It's my sense of humor, too. So for those of you that have been watching the programs on this channel for a long time, you've seen this before. This is a big wide aisle that is wide enough for probably 3 wide people. Really great to have big aisles like this. Hi, it's me. We just finished our first job. We took what's referred to as a drag freight all across the entire railroad, which is a great way. If you ever go to one of these things and you're feeling confused or, intimidated by the crew briefing, which I was very confused by our crew briefing this morning, take an easy job like a through freight and it'll help you get accustomed to the layout, which is exactly what just happened. It was a lot of fun, actually. And I feel more confident now that I'll be able to do whatever the next job is without too much confusion. It's just a matter of figuring out how the layout is set up and what the protocols are for running the jobs. And I'm finding out, even though it was confusing at the beginning, it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. I just have to do it.
Because you're supposed to be.
All right, so our second job is underway, and we're actually operating this. It's called another drag freight, which is going to go from one end to the other. But what Jim has done to make things interesting is he has these little spots that you have to set stuff out sometimes out of the train, and it has a special green tag that kind of alerts the operating crew that it needs some special handling. So you kind of have to be a little bit more alert, I guess, than on some other through freights on other op sessions. So it's actually kind of interesting. and I think it makes things more fun.
Take a picture of me with a big smile on my face.
Something happened over here. What's going on?
Well, they were supposed to back that train up, but it didn't get backed up.
Oh no! Who did this?
Clothesline.
Gee, I don't know who did this.
Whose fault was it, Jim?
The dispatcher.
I think it's all my fault for putting on the wrong
dispatcher.
train. Yeah.
Okay, gotta take a picture, Ed.
Hi, so we're just wrapped up at Jim's operating session. I seemed like everybody there had a great time. There was plenty of laughing going on, and a lot of laughing at unfortunate things like derailments, which you saw. A pretty good one too. But yeah, so someone in the car here on our way back was saying something about how, yeah, there was a crash. There was even a really bad derailment where some equipment hit the floor, but Jim was heard laughing, so it must have been okay. But yeah, everybody had fun. I think there were like 10 or 12 or something like that number of people there.
There's at least 12, I think 14.
Yeah, 14 maybe. It's not a huge layout or a huge room, but the aisles are wide enough that you don't really notice. I didn't really notice. There were not a lot of times where I was bumping into people, put it that way. But more importantly, it was a lot of fun. Sydney and I did just, I guess, 2 jobs, and both of them were kind of like through freight type jobs with a little bit of, setting out special freight in certain places and swapping out trains at the yard. So that was actually pretty fun. So thank you very much, Jim. But let's go to the other people and see what they have to say about it. Since you're sitting next to me, Charlie, just don't lose your track of your driving.
Yeah, I think I'll pay attention to the road in front of me. I had a great time. I was the flunky. Is that the word?
You're the yard flunky.
The yard flunky, working.
That's what Mark calls you.
With Mark, the maestro yardmaster.
Yes.
We had a good time. Typical thing is Jim had changed the operating procedures for the yard, but he hadn't changed the documentation for the crews who were taking things out of the yard. So we had a lot of fun saying, this is this is what you do, and don't read the instructions on your card.
Oh, right, yeah. Instructions are for idiots.
So that was part of the fun, but we got a lot of trains moving today. It was a huge fun.
I know every time I came to the yard, there wasn't a lot of waiting, so you guys must have been pretty efficient.
Yeah, I think we had a good time. We did it. We got a lot of trains out.
Yeah. What did you think, Tom?
An extra shout out to Jim White for making lunch for everybody.
Absolutely.
Which is super, super nice. So thank you.
Yeah, Pat made some great, delicious lunch. So,
yeah, can't go wrong with spaghetti with great meat sauce.
That's right.
So I was running a local. I ran 3 locals to the same location. So I was running 3 different sections. And the first run wasn't too bad, a modest amount of cars. And then they really loaded me up on sections 2 and 3. I ended up completing perfectly sections 1 and 2. Sections 3, the clock ran out. So
died on hours.
But I had a great time. Loved it.
Yeah.
I was able to suss out things and figure things out, which, as I mentioned earlier, was something that most likely would happen once we got jumped into it. So, good time was had by all.
Yeah. And was yours just about the lunch?
That was, it was fun and it was great. And I did a job that I hadn't done before at somebody's layout. So it's good. Always learning.
So I think the consensus in the car is that we all had a great time. And thank you very much, Jim, for inviting us. We're glad that we're glad that we finally made it. These guys are really glad that they got to go. We had a great time BSing in the car, and that's really what it's part of the fun. It's one of the things that it's all about. So another successful day with an op session and having fun with buddies. And that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next update. Today, we're going to go do some operating again. This is the second op session, I think, for us this month. And look who's here. Charlie, it's you again.
Yeah, I guess I'm the TSG official chauffeur now.
Yeah, you're the car guy. So yeah, we're going to Rick Fortin's layout again. This will be my second time, Sydney's too, for that matter. And so it should be good though. Last time I had a lot of fun at Rick's, and so I'm gonna have a lot of fun again this time. And probably I'll give you some updates while we're there. Oh, you're operating too?
Yep.
Seems like we just did this, Charlie. What's up with that?
Well, if I could, I'd do it every weekend.
Yeah. Except Tom was sitting right there, and he's not here this weekend.
Yeah.
He had a gig. Anyway, he had a gig last night in Sacramento. Said he wouldn't be home until much later
until
today.
3 a.m.
Oh, is that what it was?
The life of a professional musician.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Next time we'll bring Tom.
Yeah, next time we'll bring Tom. Well, we're going to see Tom next week because we're going to be talking trains, and I'm sure I'll be talking about that on the podcast, probably on our next segment. So.
Less than a week, I think we're going to see.
Wednesday, I think. Wednesday you do Talking Trains?
Yeah, next Wednesday we're doing Talking Trains. So, anyway, we'll be back. This layout, I don't know if you remember from the last time we were here, but this layout's a rather large layout. And there's about 14 people here. We're just in one little corner of it. And it's a lot of fun. I remember last time I was ready to do more jobs, and we'd already been working for 6 or 8 hours. And so anyway, I'm sure I'll have some updates for you as we go. 8720 in the middle of the screen here is our power for our first train. And we just have to wait for the appropriate time to happen, because it doesn't go out until 1 something on the layout clock. We'll be writing down some track warrants today, and as the engineer, of course, we'll be having to read the signals as well, and that's one of the things that you have to learn if you're going to do op sessions in a layout like this, is what do the signals mean? And it's not the same as driving a car. That's a really important distinction to know. So we have a train coming out of, well, I guess this is really the main, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming out of Umber Staging, which is essentially the main going to the north. And what we're simulating here is a Southern Pacific detour with a signature SP beat train and some interesting SP power. So it's a very impressive train full of GS gons and beat loads. And
if you're thinking to yourself, wow, that voice sounds really familiar, it's because it should. It belongs to this guy.
To this guy, and that's a scary thought early in the morning.
Right.
Okay, so the job that we have today is called the EPU, the Eastbound Pickup. It's I guess they refer to it as a freight drag, which is, I'm new to that type of job, and I find it confusing to know which of the cars I'm carrying get left somewhere, since I'm so used to switching jobs where I'm taking to local industry and switching stuff out. This is new to me, to just run through towns and places and just deliver it. So I had to figure out, how do I know? I have this whole stack of cards, right? How do I know? And the layout owner has posted a little poster that helps us interpret what this means up here. You can see these are all different ways. So this one, a number within a box, means that it's beyond the layout east. And so we're going to take this whole stack of cars that are all marked this way, all the way with us across the whole layout to the other staging. So we don't have to do anything with those cars. And they're at the end of the train. In the middle of the train, we have something that I think they're referring to in our instructions as the orchard block shorts. But this box right here with an X, we're told, means transfer to another railroad from Orchard Yard. So this one needs to go to Orchard Yard. And then there's some assorted ones in here, but they all need to go to Orchard Yard. Then we have these here, which are just a number with no circle or anything, not X'd out. And we're told that those mean on layout destination. So these go to, we're going to drop in the Reading yard as we go through there. And we just have different ones that go to different places.
Where's your little low chair that you flying from cars?
Oh, well, there's schools there.
I know. You're inviting in the BNSF is
We ended up with a rather long train at the end of our run here. You can see it's curving all the way around the end of the layout down there. It's very close to 40 cars. So we're picking up our second job. This is a higher priority trailer on flat car job. And ironically, it's coming out of the same place where we took our first job out of. But lots of fun jobs on this op session.
I have a SPO, Mark.
That's okay. You can put it on your and
Or 4.
6. Sorry. 6.
Hi, so this is a while later, and we're just taking off from Rick's now, and once again had a great time. We actually did 3 jobs this time. I think the first time we only did two jobs, if I remember right. This time we did 3. Basically, it was, I believe, 2 drag freights and then what's called a turn, which is where you go out to a place and then return back to the same origination point. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And thanks, Rick, for having us once again. Since we're sitting in the car with other people, since I'm sitting in the car with other people, I'm going to go to the other people and see what they have to say.
Good time. Lots, all the usual suspects. So it was great seeing everybody and visiting, and got to do more of those drag freights, which apparently the universe thinks I need to learn more about.
They're a real drag. Yeah. What did you think, Charlie? What did you do?
I did the Los Molinos local, which is actually, it's fun because it's actually 3 locals. You go to Los Molinos, you do the north side, then you head out, you do all the work in Red Bluff, then you come back and you do the south side. Actually, it's the other way around, but south side. So it's like three different locals, and a lot of fun. I did that with Dick Zarin, and we had a good time.
Sounds good. So I think everybody had a good time. I didn't hear anybody crying. We'll put it that way.
It's because you turned your radio off.
Yeah, right. So anyway, that's it for today's festivities, I guess. And we'll come back on the next update, probably this coming Wednesday when we do a TSG Live Talking Trains episode. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's it. See you later. Hi, we did something train related today. Murph and I just got done with this month's episode of TSG Live Talking Trains, and we had a great discussion or presentation or both with Stephen Priest. And I think I learned a lot, Murph, about how to stay motivated and get stuff done.
I sure did. And he gave us a few project management secrets about how to get your train crew to actually work with you to help also complete your layout.
There was one thing that was surprisingly absent, though, was he didn't talk about bribing people with donuts.
There was that. Or pizza.
Well, anyway, aside from that, it was actually a really good show, and I think that if you watch it, you'll be glad you did. So check it out on the replay. Oh, hello there. In case this scene looks a little bit familiar, it's because we're doing something train-related today, and well, what do you know? We're in the car with Charlie again. Charlie, you're the official TSG chauffeur?
I'm the TSG chauffeur, and happy to do it.
Yeah. Now, we're actually on our way to lunch right now because we're doing an op session today. Oh, and then look, this is also a familiar sight, but we're doing more than just an op session today. So Charlie and Tom and Dave, who we all know from various places, but they're all regulars here. Dave owns the layout we're operating on, the Rawhide and Duct tape in Watsonville. Charlie's been a regular here for a long time. I don't know if you also helped design and build it.
I did not help build it, but
Tom did.
Yeah.
Tom helped design and build. Tom's not with us today. Again, he would be sitting in that seat if we were doing this like we did for Jim's layout on the first op session of the month. But anyway, I digress. What I was going to tell you is that we're also filming scenes for a clinic that Tom, Charlie, and Dave are going to be giving at the regional PCR convention at the end of this month in San Luis Obispo. You can join us virtually, because I know most of our viewing audience is not local to our area. And so we're doing a virtual version of that. And this clinic that I'm talking about will be available to the virtual audience. So we're filming a bunch of clips for this clinic today at Dave's op session. And the clinic is all about the most fun you can have, model railroading. And Charlie, since you're involved with the construction or writing or whatever of the clinic, what could you tell people while you're still looking at the road?
Well, for me, operating is the most fun you can have, model railroading. It's fun building, it's fun designing, but ultimately the end result is operating. And I would just like to encourage more people who haven't tried operating to give it a try, and people who have layouts who've never considered operating their layout to consider doing that. So that's what the clinic's about.
Sounds like fun.
I hope so.
Yeah, and of course, we're big ops fans too, so it fits right in with what we do. So anyway, that's what we're doing today. I may have some updates later. Depends what ends up happening. Really, my presence here today has more to do with helping film the clips for the clinic than it does with operating. But luckily, part of the process of filming the clips includes doing a job. So we will get to do some operations anyway. Anyway, that's it for now. Maybe some more updates later. Hi there, coming to you from Sacramento today, and we're doing something train related. There's a big train show here. I came with my buddies, the Hills.
Hey, there's a real train.
There's a real train. I think we might have even heard it. We might have seen, that might be the one we saw, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're up here in Sacramento, going to go to the train show. What are you hoping to find, sir?
Stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got my bags, got the cash. Let's do it.
What are you hoping to find, sir?
Looking for some G-gauge stuff for our garden railroad, San Benito Southern.
Oh yeah, we've done a video about the San Benito Southern. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good to be in Sacramento again.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't been here for a while.
That's right.
All right. Let's go have fun.
Let's.
So as we're walking up into the train show here, I was just thinking to myself, Kevin, you're the train show guy this month.
I am. I keep calling you up and saying, hey, you want to go to this show?
Right. So I guess that's what I owe it. I owe it all to him. Oh, we've already found something kind of cool. What do you know about this, Kevin?
Well, it's G-scale.
Yeah?
The Wandering Railroad.
The Wandering Railroad. This is the Sacramento Garden Scale Club, and Kevin was just pointing out that they have their own train, which I'm going to show you. It's really cool. It even has an LED billboard on the side of it. Well, this is something that's becoming more common these days. This is a Lego group, and some of the models that they build using these building bricks are really good. They even built their QR code out of Legos.
There's something I've never seen before. Schuco Monorail? You ever seen one of these before?
Kevin is a big Disney fan as well as a big train fan, so this hits all the buttons.
The more I'm learning about this thing, the more interesting it becomes. Kevin pointed out how this block system works. When that yellow train went past that little sensor, it released the train from this station. And I'm going to show this because it's kind of cool. Watch what happens. So now the yellow one that passed us in the background is stopped at the station, and the red one's going to go over the sensor. I'm going to come over here so you can watch it happen. The sensor is up on the right side of the screen there. Well, and watch what happens. So that sensor triggered the release of the train that was here. And actually the sensor here on this station is releasing the train from the other station, which I'll show you in a second. So behind me, and I can't show you because it's behind me, but as soon as the train stopped behind me, this one goes. So those little sensors are triggering stuff.
That switch is going to flip too. It's been flipping back and forth.
This thing? What do you suppose that is? Okay, kids, this is one of the things that I always talk about, which is here we have a table of, $2 rolling stock or $5 rolling stock. And what I'm going to say about this is not fine equipment that you'd put on your layout necessarily, but it would be great to pick up something like this New Haven car and use that to practice weathering on. The train shows that I've been to here at Cal Expo in the past were all called the Great Train Show, and this one's different. I think it's run by the same people, but it's intended to be a bigger show, and it looks like they've brought in a lot of well-known vendors. And it looks like Lionel has a setup that was very similar to what we saw at the Rocky Mountain Train Show a few years ago.
I'm Dave Putnam. I'm superintendent for the Sierra Division in the Pacific Coast region. And we have a table here at the Great Train Show this weekend, and we're talking to attendees about the NMRA, what it has to offer, and signing up new members.
Here's a brand we're familiar with on the channel, Scale Trains. We do all kinds of spotlights on these. And yes, Scale Trains does N scale too. This is kind of cool that toy trains are so represented at a show like this. And when you think about it, it's a kind of a family event. So having toy trains is a great way to get kids interested really in modeling. So that's one of the things that I will always show and promote and talk about on the channel, because toy trains, I think, have a really important part in the hobby. And I think it gets overlooked by a lot of scale model purists. So I wanted to mention that this is the Fremo N group. That's Fremo standard built as N-scale modules. And if you look on this channel, you'll find something called E24, and you'll find something else called E21. And those were meets that the people here participated in Evanston, Wyoming. You might remember that I drove out to Wyoming last year. It was one of our epic trips. And some of the modules that are here today were in Wyoming for that trip. And so I've seen actually a couple people here that I know from this group and who also were in Wyoming. So go to the channel and look for E24 Fremo N, you'll find it. Or E21 Fremo N, you'll find it. And it's very interesting what they've done. And some of these guys that model in N-scale for the Fremo group here are really good modelers. So we're back out at this garden thing inside the trailer, garden scale layout. And this is something I wanted to come on here and talk about because you'll notice that Curtis was reaching in there to take pictures. And what these guys do, and you can verify this, Kevin, since you're on camera now.
Yeah.
Is you get ideas from things like this, don't you?
Exactly. That's one of the reasons you come to shows, you know?
Right?
Is to get ideas and
you got some good stuff in your bags too, didn't you?
I did.
What'd you find?
Oh, nothing G-scale this time, but I got some American Flyer S-gauge stuff. Very happy about that.
Right on. Well, that's what it's all about too.
Yeah.
So why don't we get one more run by here as the train recedes off in the distance, and we'll say goodbye from the train show.
Surprisingly, I didn't get any catches of the month this month, so I'm going to use one of my old pictures to tell you if you have a catch of the month that you'd like to send in. Please send it to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the shots and provide the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. And this goes for models as well. If you have a model you're working on, let us know about it. I love sharing people's models, and I love sharing people's modeling. So send those shots in. So before we put a lid on this one, I need to tell you one more time about the Pacific Coast Region's annual convention. This event is being held in person, but it's also being held virtually at the same time. Some of the best things about the virtual option are that you don't have to be a member of anything to join us. You don't have to spend a lot of money on travel, and you'll have access to the content for a couple weeks after the event. Use the code PCR2025 to get a 25% discount off the virtual admission price, making it only $30. The goal of the PCR Convention's virtual event is to grow and share a great hobby with as many people as possible. So please sign up today and join us. You'll have a great time, and you'll get to meet a lot of very cool and interesting people while you're at it. So 2025 is already gearing up to be very, very busy for us, and we're glad that you're along for the ride. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this program, please join the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. TSG Train Crew members get behind-the-scenes access and ad-free sneak previews in 4K ultra-high definition. Go to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia for more information.